I'm Christy. Today I want to talk about how to balance your need for socialization with safety concerns. One of the biggest struggles during this pandemic is figuring out how to have a social life while staying safe. Now, things are improving, but it's still a major concern, especially if you have other health issues. Now, part of me says this is a mask, no mask issue. No, I'm not going there, and I'm not really interested in anyone else trying to start that debate on here either. Because in reality, this is much bigger than just a mask issue. This is about taking time to understand the issues involved, knowing your own health issues inside and out, and then coming to the best decision you can on what your boundaries will be. And they may be different from different family members. Or you might decide that the strictest requirements that a single family member requires are what the whole family will abide by. But I also know that there's a lot more to this issue than just going out in public or not. When I think about what socialization looks like, I realize that this might be the biggest obstacle to overcome when considering this. Socialization looks so different from one person to another. One person is happy as a clam to be told they have to stay home to stay safe. They quickly adapted to ordering everything online, working from home, and they don't mind the hours of online meetings. This is really the excuse that they needed to stay in their happy place. Now, another person thinks that this is the worst kind of torture they could possibly have been given. They long for the days when they could pick up and go travel the world, see new sights, take on new adventures, try new things, see faraway friends. And still another person isn't happy that they can't go out and meet up with friends for fun activities. Maybe it's bowling, or shopping, or whatever. They just want to be out of their house and enjoying time with friends, without masks, and without worrying about getting sick. And there's every option in between. Now, I think one of the things that few of us considered when all of this began was the consequences or repercussions of this forced isolation. Now, part of that was because we all thought that this would just be for a few weeks, and then life would return to normal. I'm nearly positive that no one expected this to go on for more than a year and a half, and counting still. The consequences of this isolation and lack of socialization vary just as widely as people's need for socialization. Some have had few or minor repercussions. They've leaned into this change and adapted or done the best they could. Others have had significant issues arise or return because of the lack of socialization. This may have triggered them even in some way, or maybe they're just wired to be around people regularly. Now, others are somewhere in between. They've had issues arise, but they've been able to work through them and have figured out how to have sufficient interactions to keep them balanced. Now, unfortunately, some have been unable to figure out how to deal with all of these changes and have sunk into very dark places, sometimes dangerously so. Now, fortunately, things are improving now, and some areas are even able to meet with minimal restrictions or qualifications. Now, most people are still aware of the concerns, and many people are simply worn out from the prolonged hypervigilance. We're all looking for ways to find some semblance of normalcy in our lives again. We want to be able to get together with friends, preferably without masks and without worrying about catching this nastiness. We want to be able to go shopping without having to worry about that cough or sneeze that comes out of nowhere, or wonder if we're exposing ourselves without even realizing it. So how do we balance all of these issues? I think it's a tough question to answer, and one that will vary from family to family. But here's a few thoughts. First, respect the decisions that others make for themselves. We're all doing the best we can, and we're making the decisions that we believe are best for our families. Second, follow local requirements. Some areas still have mask mandates, others don't. Trust that those in charge of your area are making the choices they believe are best are in the best of your community's interests. Third, don't allow fear and paranoia to control your life. Now, I've mentioned this one before, but I think it bears repeating. This is one area that is so easy to allow it to take over and control much of our lives. And yet, living in fear and hypothetical what-ifs is not a healthy way to live. Fourth, begin going out and doing things again. Yes, be smart and adapt to the needs of the area you're in, but don't be afraid to begin living again. Fifth, make informed decisions. Research conditions and requirements. Research topics that pertain to issues your family faces, and then make the most informed decision you can and move ahead with it. And finally, remain hopeful and look for the positives. Now, I realize this one can be hard, but choosing to look for the good helps the bad seem not quite so overwhelming. And I believe there's always something good to be found. Sometimes you just have to look a little harder to find it. So my question for you this week is this. How are you balancing all of these issues with socializing as we come out of the pandemic? I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can leave me a comment below, or you can leave me a comment over on the blog. That's at www.havenofhopeforme.com. This originally posted in October of 2021. I'm working to return to a new normal so that I can continue to say that life is good and there is never a dull moment.